Thank you for joining me for another episode of Love is Blind Argentina. This is episode 3. I would please ask you to like this video, share it with a friend, leave a comment below. I see like there are a ton of you visiting constantly, but no one's ringing the doorbell. No one's letting me know that you're here except for YouTube. So kindly let me know you're here, you're enjoying this. I wish for me to continue because I wish to continue, but I just want to know that you appreciate it in some way. And a like is just one simple way that you could show appreciation. I was here and let's keep this going. So let me grab my notes and we are at episode 3. We start with Tom and Florfy have their reveal. And I was like, ooh, who's not going to like each other? But he has smiles. She hides her face. They have a big hug and then a big kiss. A big, long kiss. Okay? He thinks she's beautiful. She thinks he is hot. He kneels and proposes, and then he takes the rings out. She then proposes to him, and he also says yes. He gives her something special, a letter, which we never know what's in the letter, or, later on that it was a letter. It's like, well, what did he give her? Just a piece of paper? But I like his burgundy jacket. Tom, I've been calling you a wet rag, but I do like that burgundy kind of purplish jacket you wore for the reveal. That was beautiful color. So in their private area, they're both beaming about how happy they are. And I'm like, y'all show that y'all are happy later. You need to tell the person you're happy. Then we have Julieta and Ezekiel. Julieta wants to show him her emotional depth. Remember, the last time he's like, I don't know. She told the producers, hey, he ain't telling me how he feel. And the producer suggested, hey, why don't you do it? So she sent him a letter about her feelings. She covers her face with a pillow while he reads it. It was very, very sweet. It was very sweet, Julieta. And I'm like you, I understand. It's hard to kind of pour out those emotions. And when it does bubble to the surface, it's kind of like, what's going on here? So the letter says she may come off as not emotional or having no depth, but he made her feel comfortable enough in telling him things. So Ezekiel says, you're such a sweetheart. He was worried that she was made out of ice. Ooh, but this is great. He said this is what was missing for him to make a decision. So Julieta wants to see him and she loves his energy and can see a future with him. And Ezekiel said the letter will help him make the best decision. Then we meet some new people. Well, new person. We meet Roberto. They call him Robert, so I may go into calling him Robert or Roberto. He is 28. He is a rancher. They have a family ranch that has been around since, he says, his grandfather. And Eva, they call her Ava. It's Evangelista, I think. But they call her, it says Ava, but it's spelled Eva. So please forgive me if I keep on saying Ava or Eva. I'm going to try and stay to Eva since it's a longer Eva name. She is an attorney, one of many attorneys on the cast. So they get to know where they're from. He wants someone who's down to earth. He wants a genuine person, but he won't move away because this is a generational farm. She said, hey, my dad works out in the fields. She has been single for 4 years. She moved from the capital, for school and work. She moved to the capital. And he has been to the capital and he studies sports journalism, but realized he's not a people person. Yeah, some parts of journalism, you don't need to talk to people, Roberto. So he said he's had 3 girlfriends in his life and he's been single for over a year. He is very nervous. And she said she wants to move out of the capital one day. So I'm thinking, ooh, do we have something here? He has to stay at the ranch and she wants to get out of the capital. So Roberto then has a date with Agostina. Now remember, Agostina been dating these men. She's been telling them she's a queen. I'm a queen. This is what I want. This is what I will have. This is what you will give me. There's no 50-50. You will give me everything. So I'm like, how is Roberto the rancher and Agostina gonna mix? So she says she's been shuffling through the guys, ranking them, different dates change the ranking of the men. And she's going to give Roberto her true side, the teddy bear side, the one that's not the pushy queen. She lists what she wants from a man, and he said, oh, he likes her strong personality. Now, Roberto, this is where I'm looking at you strange. I'm looking at you strange. You're trying to give us a nice, cute, quiet rancher, but you like Augustina? Yeah. So she says she wants to be courted, and a man should handle all expenses. And she thinks men should provide financially and women provide an intangible value. What exactly is intangible? I'm trying to find out. Augustina, what is the intangible part of life that you wish for the woman to provide? I just don't understand it. So he doesn't see anything wrong with 50-50. Sharing things is part of being a couple, sharing responsibility. He likes her dominating personality, and she does like him. Roberto, I'm looking at you funny, my man. I'm looking at you funny. In a men's lounge, they talk about the queen, and she wants to spend a man's money even though she has her own. And Roberta tells the guy she's showing him her true self. Okay, Roberta. In a woman's lounge, Augustina, doesn't feel like she's at the top of Roberto's list, and apparently Robert or Roberto is on a lot of women's lists. He is the hot commodity. Okay? So it's Evangelina. Eva, they pronounce it Ava, is short for Evangelina, who is 29 and a lawyer. She wants Roberto too, and she's listening to Augustina. So Augustina's like, Eva is no competition because she doesn't beg or cry, unlike Eva. And I'm like, sometimes a little begging and crying does help, Augustina. I need you to take down that hard shell a little bit, get a little bit softer. So next we meet someone new. We meet Brenda, who is 34 in administration. She has 2 kids, 9 and 12. She did not marry their father because he cheated. But her true love did become a father to her children, but then he passed away from cancer. She is dating Matthias, who is 36, an administrative employee. He has great energy and is so bright. His personality was just like, hey, welcome in. And he's like, wait a minute, this is not my home. This is a pod. He had such great personality. I liked Matthias. So they discussed towns. She said she cannot just up and move. She has 2 kids. And he said he would hate to have to leave his friends and family. And they talk about cooking. She loves to cook from scratch. And he is just falling in love. He always wanted kids and a family. And his ex wasn't on the same page since she already had kids. And, Brenda's liking this about him. She is really liking this about Matthias. Because remember, she just had an ex who did welcome her children as his own. So he loved the flow of the conversation. Then we learned, this is day 9, Ezekiel and Julieta. He liked her letter and he proposes and she says, of course. I was like, this was quick. I'm like, we didn't see much of the romance growing with Ezekiel and Julieta. And it may be because they were both holding back, but I didn't feel it grow. So I'm going to keep an eye on that. I'm like, who else was Ezekiel dating? So Evangelina, or Eva, 29-year-old attorney, she said she has a hard time believing that she will be enough for someone and to make someone happy. Let's put a pin in that. That insecurity can rear up. She has a date with Roberto. She tells him he is her favorite. And he's also the favorite with all the women. So he asks her, how important is intimacy? She says it is 70-30 in a marriage for her. She has done it everywhere. The beach, he agreed that him too. He's like, what about dirty talk? She's like, whoa. My family's going to be watching this show. But then ask him. And I'm like, girl, if your family's watching the show, his is as well. Come on now. Don't put him in there. So he said he's usually shy talking about intimacy, but he's open to talking with her. Roberto, you sounding like a player. So he's at the top of her list, but she doesn't believe she's at the top of his. Then Roberto and Augustina have a date. They have the intimacy talk. And she lets out that no man she's ever been with let her get to the big O. Augustina, why would you be telling this on international television? International. Now, every man she's dated, her friends will know, dang, he never got there. She didn't feel like she could ever be her whole self with them, like she could relax. And he says, well, in that instance, communication is crucial. You need to let your partner know. She says she gets distracted due to a lack of connection. And she says she does not talk about intimacy with any other man on the show. Wow, Roberto, you're special. So in the women's lounge, Augustina says, hey, he makes her feel soft and gentle, and that Eva's an insecure person and she would never end up with him. I'm like, Augustina, all this bravado. In the men's lounge, he tells the men about Augustina's different sides, but Eva seems more invested in the relationship. Now, is that more invested or she wants you more? I'm not sure. There's something about Roberto that I'm seeing playa. I'm not sure. So Ezekiel and Julieta have their reveal. The doors open and she does not walk forward. She stands there by the door. And I'm like, is Julieta going to run? Are we going to have our first Love is Blind runaway engagement? So she steps forward and says he looks handsome. She don't like that man. Even though she said he looked handsome, I don't think she liked that man. I'm sorry. Oh, Julieta, I'm sorry. If y'all are married and happy, I'm sorry. But the initial reveal shows you don't like that man. They both hold hands. It's like, we'll hold hands like this. And then she's like, kiss me. They have quick kisses and then a quick kiss and then kissing along his neck. And I'm like, what the heck? What the heck, girl? She just wants to hug him. He says she is beautiful. He asked for one more kiss and they kiss deep. When I tell you they kiss deep, I wanted to hide my face behind the pillow like she did when he was reading her letter. Ooh, it was a kiss. She says the hugging was great, but maybe a little less kissing. And I'm like, wait a minute. I'm feeling the heat through the television with that kiss. What is she saying? She don't like that man, y'all. She don't like that man. If you rather hug him than kiss him, you don't like that man. So he proposes again. They exchange the rings. And she sounds like it's an interview. Like, it was so nice to see you, it's not a speaker anymore. It's an actual real person. I'm like, girl, you sound like the end of an interview. So he goes in for more kisses and the, letter moved him and he said it made it all clear for him. And at the couch, he says, because after they have the reveal and they go back to their respective areas with the couch, we get to hear what they say. They still interview them. And I love this because they don't do this in the U.S. or they don't show us in the U.S. He says, she's hot. Oh my God. And he's starting to feel some kind of fear that he may not be enough. She says it was a sweet moment, but it felt weird. She just wants to take her shoes off. I'm like, girl, you don't like this man. She needs time to calm down and process because the face and the voice just don't match. Well, it is Love is Blind. It is Love is Blind. We don't know how she feels, what she sees when she sees him. Whew. She don't like that man. I'm sorry. So we have Matthias and Brenda have a date. She tells him about her ex who passed of cancer and she didn't get to marry him. Her ideal date is a very simple date. And he did say that once he did a very simple wine dinner date with someone and they laughed at him. And I'm like, that was cruel. That was cruel. Whoever you are, that lady, you should not have done that to Matthias. It may not be your thing, but the man put in some effort. So he said he does live in a small town. Both his parents have passed away some time ago. And he has a really great relationship with his family. He's very close to them. He was in a relationship recently and it didn't work out. And he tells her why. And, you know, she doesn't feel like she should make him leave such a close-knit, small community. She got them 2 kids. So Eva and Roberto have a date. She tells him her family history and why she finds it hard to open up. You know, her dad was not always faithful to her mom, and that led to issues in the household. He feels more for her now, and he said his dad passed away in 2016 and shared that his sister has a son, 14 months. The baby was premature, and then the sister had a major health issue. Again, he does say what the health issue is, but in this review and recap, I'm just going to say health issue, and you could see from the show exactly what it is. But from what it is, he has been the one to take care of the sister and her child, and he misses them so much. So that must be rough. That must be rough. I mean, Roberto, to have to take care of this newborn and your sister, that's a lot. And you're on the farm. That's a lot. But this gives Eva reassurance that he is not a man who will run away or be unfaithful like her dad. But I'm like, girl, this is family. He gonna stick with family. He gonna stick with his sister and his nephew. So I'm not sure how this should reassure you he will be a faithful husband. But I understand where you're going. But I'm not convinced. But I don't need to be convinced. I'm not marrying a man. So Matthias and Brenda, he says he wants to have kids and she is willing to have another, and she will have it wherever her love resides. She is willing to move. So she asks more about his hometown, and he does hope that they end up together, and she says she is sold. And the song they play for them is Not Afraid to Love You. I was like, okay, laying it on thick. Eva and Roberto have a date, and he said he could not guess her voice. He said, who's that on the other side? And she's like, well, who do you think? And he could not guess. And Eva got mad. I mean, like real mad. He lists all the other names of these women he was talking to. And she's like, what? And he's like, hey, you make me nervous. So that's why he's slipping up. Roberto, no, you shouldn't be calling any names. So she feels like it's pulling teeth to get him to share, and she is fed up. They both laid on the couch silent, waiting for the time to pass. They didn't talk. She wasn't going to leave. He wasn't going to leave. And they just laid there in silence. Love is Blind, please tell me if this is the first quiet date that y'all have had. This was too much for me. Please let me know in the comments. Should she just have left? Should she just have been like, hey, I'm gone, I'm done? Or is she saving face? You know, I didn't think about that till now. Maybe she was saving face. She did not want the other ladies to know that her date with Roberto ended quickly, because then the others would pounce on him. I wonder. He keeps on saying, the wrong name and says he's joking, but I'm like, the little bit of Spanish I know, it is no bueno. Definitely not a good look when you're telling this woman all different names. So we have Roberto and Augustino talk. Augustina, she said she would leave the capital for him. I'm like, she's playing him, but he's playing her too, because Roberto is a fan favorite. And she did say she was going to be a real mean bee. So I'm like, is she playing him to continue on the show? She said her mother's not around. She lived with her mom until she was 14, and that's when she got kicked out. Her dad took her in. Her sister lives in Italy. She blocked her mom for her mental health. Her body is feeling things for him. And I'm like, girl, how we go from family and what's going on with family? So it must be editing that she's telling it, oh, I feel, goosebumps for you. So she tells him, you are my match, my connection. Now you can let the other girls know you're mine. Like, Augustina, okay, wait a minute, girl. Oh, you mine. Tell the other girls. He said, you are high on my list, but I don't know if you are the one. She looked shocked. She's like, is there someone else that you have a stronger connection with? And she has this bratty tone about it. He's like, he has not made an emotional connection strong enough to say the person is the one. Augustina says she falls in love through intimacy and not talking. But I'm like, girl, you never had the big O, so then you never been in love. So if your love equates to intimacy and you never had the big O, are you saying you never been in love? What are we saying, Augustina? Because you're sounding contradictory. Whoo, she is using him to get to the next level so she could get at the guys who turned her down so she could be the main B, like she said earlier. So in the women's lounge, Eva is saying maybe she overreacted with him by being quiet when he said all these girls' names. And I'm like, girl, no. Eva, no. So she has a date with Roberto next, and she is telling him her feelings about the horrible date and how he made her feel, and it hurt when he called all these different names. She has been deep in imagining their life together, and she understands if he doesn't feel the same. So Roberto says he wants to get to know her, but he has not made a decision yet. I'm like, Roberto, we're on day 9. When are you going to make a decision? So he says she is calm, fun, and down to earth. When she asked, if I was your wife, how would you see me? How would you see our life together? And he, I guess, passed with flying colors. Because she said, that is definitely correct. That's me. We have Matthias and Brenda. He cries when telling her about how happy he is to have found her. He has fears, but he wants this, and he proposes to her. And Brenda says yes. Roberta and Augustina and Eva. So let's set this up. We see Roberto. He's going to tell his final decision to these ladies, but we don't know who he's talking to. All three, we see them walking down the aisle to the pod door. We see him in the pod and he's talking, but we don't know who he's talking to yet. It was great suspense, great way of telling the narration. Roberta says he's not able to sleep. He's been thinking hard about this. This was so fast. And he is not ready to commit more to this person or to move forward with them. He says you are an interesting person and he would love to get to meet her after the pods. Then we see who he's breaking up with. Augustina. Oh no, she is not having it. She's like, if you don't continue with me, we will not be continuing outside. And I'm like, Roberto, remember she said she cut off her mother. She cut off her mother. It will be nothing for her to cut you off. Then she said, this is pretty, but she is not here to convince him to be with her. And this is cowardly. He is just acting like a fool. Roberto says, it was a pleasure meeting you. And she's like, hey, I am pissed off. And I'm like, ooh. I'm like, but doing this proves he's not brave? And she doesn't want a coward? Where does this come from? Doing this whole experiment is very brave. This whole thing, especially if you've seen previous seasons, is very brave. So saying he's a coward, it doesn't compute for me. So Roberto and Eva says he's not fine. He just broke it off with, Augustina. That's what's going through his head. He said he had 3 choices. One of either of the 2 ladies or leave. But he does tell Eva he wants to continue with her. And she's all smiles and happy. He proposes and she says, of course. He sent her flowers and she said she's worried about Augustina's reaction. So she's leaving the flowers in the pods. I'm like, what kind of is Augustina doing that this woman is afraid to bring flowers back to the women's lounge? So Eva walks into the women's lounge and Augustina yells, we are better off without that a-hole. What? Eva's like, she's speaking for herself. And she says she didn't want to be too loud, but she told the other ladies, hey, yeah, I'm getting married. I'm engaged. He did ask. And the ladies were overjoyed. I mean, even though she wanted it quiet from Augustina, the ladies were like, what? What? Yes, girl. Yes, you did it. And all the ladies just pounced on her. Augustina was like, no, this can't be happening to me. Well, that a-hole is all yours. I was like, girl, sour grapes. So in the men's lounge, they congratulate Roberto for proposing and for Eva accepting. So Eva and Roberto have their reveal And they show a glimpse of them and cut away to another reveal. And I'm like, what are y'all doing? Don't do this. Don't ever do this again, please. Matthias and Brenda reveal is what we see next. And we go through the whole reveal. I'm like, don't do that. They both hesitate to walk to each other. They have a deep hug. And I'm like, they don't like each other. They don't like what they saw. I'm sorry. I don't think they like each other. But they're acting like teens who shouldn't be hugging or kissing each other. I'm like, y'all grown. Y'all grown. He says he knows they cannot continue like this. He wants to get to know her outside the experiment. Okay, Matthias. Okay, what we doing? We came to this experiment. We knew the rules. We signed a contract. What are we doing with this woman? What are we doing with Brenda? You know what was up. You want to know her outside. I think you got nerves. He said he needs to go home. He needs to go home before continuing. And this is not what she was expecting. She says she wants to get to learn more about him, but she is choosing to believe him. He needs to be home in his environment so he can truly propose and be confident. And the song played is this the end? Now I do ask, I think and of course, I don't know these people. Again, this is an edited show that is translated into English, both verbally and with the subtitles. So please be polite if I'm getting anything wrong. I am not listening to it in the native tongue. But in the meantime, you could certainly take a moment to like the video, share, subscribe, and leave me a comment. So what I think is going on with Matthias, I think he should have said more, I would like you and the kids to get to know me and my town before we make this decision and go through with this. I think that will be more of a balanced response, but I think he's running scared. I really think so. So at the couch, she said he is overwhelmed. He got carried away. She said it hurts because she wanted to wear his ring. We go back to Roberto and Eva's reveal. Netflix again, don't ever do this to me again. Don't ever do this. Eva's reveal. She walks brisk, but he is hesitant. They kiss each other's cheek and hug. I don't think he's thrilled about her. I don't think he's thrilled. I'm like, ooh, it's kind of chill. He's just glad to see her face behind the voice. And he sits down on the couch in his area and asks her to marry him. All the other men been kneeling. All the other men been. So maybe I'm spoiled. She says yes, and he says yes. And then they kiss. She holds his face, and he's sitting up straight, not even leaning into it. I'm like, he says the kiss is one of relief. Relief of what? To get it over with? What exactly, Roberto? She's like, oh my God, he's so affectionate. He's so wonderful. Girl, Eva, what did you watch? Because what I'm seeing is different, but I'm watching an edited show. So Roberto said it was incredible meeting her for the first time. So that was the end of the couples. We have our couples, y'all. We have Santiago and Emily. We have Tom and Florfy. We have Mauricio and Maria Emilia. We have Ezekiel and Julieta. And Roberto and Eva. That ends episode 3, y'all. I want to thank you for joining me for Love is Blind Argentina. Season 1, episode 3. We will move on to the vacation spot of Tulum, Mexico. It looks beautiful. They are there for episode 4, so please join me there. And before you go, please like the video, share, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment below, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel.